Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up in just a few minutes in our BeYouTiful segment brought to us by Animoca Brands, we are featuring my good friend, Sari Katz, former co-founder of Velour Medical and a certified trainer for the Allergan Medical Institute with over a decade of extensive training in both medical and cosmetic dermatology. Today, she is joined by my very good friend, Mckenzie Westmore, Passion's actress and founder of the cosmetic company Westmore Beauty. Now, Mackenzie got into the beauty industry to help women feel sexy and amazing, but behind the scenes, she stayed hidden, staying out of sight to hide the effects of filler on her face that had unintentionally migrated over time. Today, we're chatting fillers, dissolvables, and the potential pitfalls of injectables. Most modern dermal fillers are composed primarily of hyaluronic acid, which is a naturally occurring constituent in our bodies. This gel-like molecule is a moisture-binding ingredient that helps to keep the skin plump and hydrated, supports the production of collagen, and maintains skin elasticity, as well as being the main ingredient of most cosmetic fillers. Hyaluronic acid is what gives our skin its softness and our joints their fluidity. Now, in cases where dermal fillers produce an undesired or harmful result, a reversal agent called hyaluronidase is injected into the skin to dissolve the filler. And hyaluronidase is a natural occurring enzyme in the body that works to break down hyaluronic acid, supporting its rapid and constant turnover. And here to chat some more is the beautiful Mckenzie Westmore and the amazing Sari Katz. Welcome, my beautiful ladies.
Hi, Zen. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having us. Yes, great to be here.
Mackenzie, welcome back. You've come on. This is your third time. 3 is not a charm because I'm going to keep inviting you back on. But you are to the people that don't know you, you are the great granddaughter of British hairdresser George Westmore, who established Hollywood's first ever hair and makeup department way back in 1917, and one of the many Westmores, so to speak, who followed in his footsteps. Notably, you have the family star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame for your family's contributions to the industry. Yet here you are suffering in silence over bad fillers. What happened and where did your journey with filler start?
It basically started back in my 20s. I was on a show and I was basically a size 4, size 6, but that wasn't good enough for them. They wanted me to be thinner and they told me I was fat. And I started to lose weight. It spiraled out of control, suffered from anorexia, was hospitalized, was in the hospital. And even then, that wasn't good enough. They told me I needed to get back to work. So the hospital wanted me there for 6 months. They told me to get back within 2 weeks. So went back to work. It was a tough journey to go through. So I had to work through that. And through that, though, I even being 100 pounds or less, my face had already been eaten away. The muscles, as you know, Sari, anorexia will eat away at the muscles in the face. So the cheeks, the temples, all the muscle was gone. So I then in my 20s turned to fillers to make up for that because I had to be on screen. This was my job and is my job. So I started to put fillers in at a very young age, which I would never recommend to anybody, as would anybody. And that continued on. So that was my way to fix an issue quickly and continued on. And then and then the aging process, it just got out of hand. And going from different doctors, it became too much. The fillers got too heavy. They started to migrate. They started to cause pain. I even had my hair done at one point and started to have pustules in areas where the fillers were. I was starting to get sick and I couldn't understand why. No doctor could explain to me why I was getting sick. And I really didn't understand what was going on until I went to see Dr. Paul Nassif. And that's when he said, this is out of control. This is too much. And he said, I need to deconstruct you to reconstruct you. And that's when I put my life basically in his hands. And I said, just do whatever you think needs to be done. And it was a process of 2 weeks for him to completely dissolve the fillers. And even then, when he got me on the operating table, because I had so much sagging skin, this was 2 months ago. He then found that when he opened me up, there was still so much filler. He had to scrape it off my bones. He found it still integrated and wrapped around veins. He had to extricate it very, very carefully. It was a very tough, difficult situation. I know he even said, he went on record with People Magazine and Access Hollywood that in his 23 years of surgery, he had never seen a case like this.
Wow.
So he had to really be very careful in getting it out of me. But he did say that, you know, even though it is a natural substance, there just was so much packed in there that it would affect the immune system. It still is a foreign entity to the body, and it would impact the immune system. It just was too much for the body to handle, and nobody should go through this much filler or have this much filler put into their face over time. And nobody was there to really guide me as to the amount of time or how much filler. You know, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. I don't know how much should be put in through time. I just put my hands and my face in the hands of these people that I trusted when they weren't trustworthy.
Right. Thank you so much for being honest and being so transparent and so open. I'm sure you are inspiring a lot of women, and I'm sure it's hitting close to home for many out there listening and watching. Sari, I'd love for you to react to her experience and also give us your thoughts if this over-injecting is a thing, and what can women do to mitigate the lumps, and what fillers do you recommend for long-term and prolonged use? But I'd love to get your reaction right now.
So absolutely. Mckenzie, I'm really sorry that you went through that. Nobody should have to go through anything like that. And somebody along the way should have intervened and educated you on how to take care of, you know, your face and what decisions to make. I'm big on education because in the industry, I'm actually a trainer. So I work for Allergan. I'm on their advisory board, and I go around teaching best practices when it comes to fillers and Botox, because you're absolutely right. There is a point in which we should not cross. So, you know, these things are temporary. However, to an extent, with the buildup over time, we see fillers last years, even without adding more. So yes, they're temporary to an extent. There is some that will remain under the surface, and it really depends on how they're placed as well, right? Because if they're over-injected on top of a muscle, they're going to constrict the muscle. If they're injected in a certain plane of the face that the muscle will push a lot against, they can actually migrate and change location. And the problem is, when fillers first came out, there was so much less knowledge than we have now. And I think the mind frame was, all right, let's fix every line and every fold and just keep adding more, just keep adding more. And fortunately now there's been a trend back towards a more natural approach, as well as a more strategic placement. And I find that in my industry, I'm trying my hardest as an educator to teach the correct way that these products should be used, so that we avoid having to dilute out, because who wants to go through that?
Nobody injects to want to dissolve, but you know, the dermal fillers industry is very big. From the year 2022 to the year 2029, they are forecasting astronomical numbers. The expected global dermal fillers market is going to be around 7.5% higher year after year, and the market was valued at over $5 billion just this year alone, and it's going to go to close to $10 billion by the year 2030. So we're seeing a younger generation of patients, and we're seeing people trying to attain perfection. Mackenzie, for the filler reversal, I know you injected the enzyme hyaluronidase to your face to dissolve them, but that was not enough. Please explain.
It was a process of about 2 weeks. Dr. Nassif had a game plan of surgery, because he knew that this was going to leave me basically looking like a Shar-Pei, because there just was so much filler, and it was going to leave a lot of sagging skin. And it was almost like going through weight loss, where it was going to just sag. And if you see the before and after photos, which are coming out soon in part 2 of People Magazine, you'll see that it's sagging. So it was 2 weeks that he took to dissolve the fillers in all the places that it had migrated. And I'm talking places like even close to my ears. I mean, just weird places where it had moved around. I mean, it was embarrassing.
Unbelievable.
Where it just moved to places where I was to be honest with you, I was thrilled through the pandemic that there was a mask and glasses. I refused to take my mask off. Even when the mask mandates were being lifted, I didn't want to take it off because it just was embarrassing for me. I didn't like the way I felt or looked. And even down to where I had lost vision and didn't realize, I thought it was just because of aging. And when I went to go do my field test just recently, all my peripheral vision had come back because all the fillers that had been put up through here had all dropped. And so all my peripheral vision was completely gone. I thought it was normal that I had no peripheral and couldn't see above or around me. But now I can actually, like, I'm looking at you and I can see all my peripheral, all that's back.
Well,
So
you look beautiful. You look beautiful, but you also said you were going to get a deep plane facelift and endoscopic brow lift to help add balance and reflect your former.
So I had
appearance.
to. It was really a reconstructive surgery. I had to because of all the fillers that were removed. It just left all this sagging skin. So in order, like Dr. Nassif said, in order to deconstruct me, that's when he had to reconstruct me. So he took the 2 weeks to deconstruct me. He had a game plan of a surgery of doing a deep plane and an eye lift, but even that changed the night before my surgery. At 6 p.m., night before my surgery, he looked at me and said, you know, now that we've gotten the fillers out of you, I can't do an eye lift. I need to change it to an endoscopic brow lift because the fillers were just so like migrated and moved around. I need to change my game plan now. So I just said, okay, I trust you. Let's do this. And
we have about a minute and a half left. I just want to be mindful of the time. But yes, I mean, it sounds like
the next day we jumped into it and he did the lift, everything. And even then, when he got in there, like I said, he had to still remove more filler because it was so integrated into me. And he reconstructed my face to be what you're seeing now.
Interesting. Well, I'm going to come back because I'd love to get some thoughts on from Sari's perspective, but we have come to the end of our segment. I wanted to thank both of you for coming on. It was an absolute pleasure chatting with you, Mackenzie, and I want to thank you for your honesty, your transparency, and really sharing such private moments of your life and your struggles, but you've overcome them. You look gorgeous, you look beautiful, and you're such an inspiration, not only to me, but to all the women out there listening.
Thank you.
Sari, thank you so much for coming on. You know, I always love chatting with you, girl.
Of course. Thanks for having us. And also, Mackenzie, it was a pleasure meeting you. And thank you for sharing your story.
So wonderful meeting you.
That was our BeYouTiful segment brought to us by Animoca Brands. Dermal fillers boast a long record of safety when delivered by a qualified cosmetic injector, and in some cases, they don't. Though these problems are rare, it's essential to seek treatment if you experience any of these side effects or conditions. The reversal procedure must be performed by a highly trained cosmetic doctor with sound knowledge of the facial anatomy to achieve the safest and most accurate results. And Mckenzie Westmore, with her love of family and the heritage, she has taken all of that. She has created her own cosmetic line called Westmore Beauty, which can be found on the QVC, or you could head directly at westmorebeauty.com. Also, definitely check out Sari on the gram at Skin by Sari. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Animoca Brands as a worldwide industry leader in digital, entertainment, blockchain, gamifications, and digital property rights. Animoca Brands plays a key role in the future growth of the metaverse. Ranked by the Financial Times as a high-growth company, Animoca Brands creates a new asset class, GameFi economies, and a more equitable digital framework contributing to the building of the open metaverse. For more information and to become part of the excitement, go to anomocabrands.com. That's anomocabrands.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. Welcome back to our BeYouTiful segment brought to us by Animoca Brands. We're chatting with the beautiful Mckenzie Westmore and my really good friend, Sari Katz. Welcome back, ladies.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's talk. We're talking injectables, dissolvables, hyaluronic acid, hyaluronidase, reconstructive surgery. We're talking it all. We're getting down to the core of what really went down over the last decade for passion actress Mckenzie Westmore. Really good friend of the show. We've had her come on now 3 times. She's always been nothing but honest, transparent, and downright completely open and available to us emotionally to walk us through all her strengths, her struggles, and now how much she's just really overcome. All right, ladies, let's get back to this. So we're talking about the dermal filler industry. We're talking about injectables and dissolvables. Mackenzie, you just walked us through a very painful moment in where Dr. Nassif, really reconstructed your face as a result of over a decade of fillers having migrated to areas that you didn't even think possible. This, although is a rare and isolated case, it probably is happening more often than we think and even know of. It's probably not being reported. And more importantly, I think a lot of women don't have the financial resources to be able to fix some of the stuff that goes terribly wrong. So this is great that you're shedding light to this, because I think that a lot of women are kept in the dark. All right. So Sari, are you seeing a younger generation of patients, and what are they looking for? So that's one thing I want you to address when you're answering your question. And I also want to touch upon, and then Mackenzie will help me with this one, what is the average customer's yearly spending on fillers and injectables, if we really look at it, right? Even because every mom is on Groupon trying to find the next good deal. And I think that's part of the problem. You have too many cooks in the kitchen touching somebody's face, right? And then also, I'd like for you, Sari, to explain that if you are going to be using injectables over a prolonged period of time, what is your recommendation? I know I gave you a lot to unpack, but take it away.
No, that's okay. So as far as trends, what we're seeing right now, yes, you're 100% right. There is a decrease in age in which people start injectables. And that's come with the whole concept of baby Botox, right? Starting early and preventing, as well as a lot of trends like the lip trend that was started by the Jenners and the Kardashians. So yes, we are seeing a younger population come in, even as far as like Gen Z, millennials, everyone. So it's been bigger and bigger, and especially with the Zoom occurrence that we've had over the last 2 years, a lot of people are finding more flaws when looking at themselves in Zoom cameras. I'm sure to an extent we're even doing it right now, like looking, what can we fix? What doesn't shadow right in this Zoom camera? But it's still a very sought after concept or trend. And we see on average, I mean, it really depends. Are we talking about full face rejuvenation, or are we talking about baby Botox? If we're talking full face rejuvenation, patients can spend like, $10,000 a year. If we're talking about baby Botox, it depends also how often they're getting it. But it might be more in the 2,000 range or so. So basically what I tell my patients and clients are try to follow the guidelines, right? Even if you don't feel like it's lasting, try to draw it out a little bit more. So Botox is indicated on the FDA approval package, the studies, to last about 3 to 4 months. I won't recommend injecting sooner than 3 months. And fillers on average last about 6 months to a year, right? So instead of chasing lines and chasing volume loss, I always like to maintain an air of a natural, conservative approach, right? It's okay to have flaws. We're allowed to be asymmetrical. We're allowed to have little imperfections. That's what makes us human and natural.
Well, I'm interested to know, Mackenzie, did you follow these guidelines as you were over the decade, or were you way over that ratio, that percentage that she's talking about?
Way over. I was way over, because I did not know. And this, I'm not trying to like say, I take my own responsibility that, I should have done my own research. I do take responsibility that nobody held anything to my head, but I should have done my own research. But I also was putting my trust in doctors' hands and some of these spas' hands to say, oh no, it's okay to do the filler 3 months later. It's okay to come back in 2 weeks and do more filler. I thought that was okay because I'm putting my hands in these professionals. I'm putting my face in these professionals' hands to say that that's okay. And like you just said, to your point, Sari, that it's to chase these areas. That's what I was trying to do, is chase these areas. So you do one area, then another area doesn't look okay. So then you got to do that. And so we were trying to chase areas, and then that's where it just got out of control. So no, it was very close together, and that's where it got impacted. So that is part of the problem of what I went through.
Interesting. Thank you for that honest answer. Sari, let's bounce it back to you. So what advice do you give, Sari, to the woman who says, okay, I need maintenance. I'm going to see you often, but I don't want to end up with migration issues and lumps and having to dissolve. What do you say?
So if finances are not an issue for that patient, what I do tell them is, look, invest in that syringe. I might not use the whole thing. I might use a fraction of it. But if that's what works with your lifestyle, doing it a little bit more often, then I'm going to have to inject less, because that buildup over time is exactly what Mackenzie went through. And I don't want to see that for any of my patients. So it's up to the patient to make educated decisions, but it's up to the provider or injector to help educate them so that they can make those correct decisions. And there's been plenty of times in my practice where I'll stop a patient and I'll say, thank you for coming in today, but I'm sorry, I don't see any need for any more at this moment.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, both of you, do you feel, Mackenzie, do you feel that and I don't know if this is, for somebody that used so much injectable over the last decade, Sari, you can answer this as well, but does your body need more the more you inject? Can your body get too used to an injectable?
So it depends if you're talking about Botox versus filler. Of course, Botox, we don't like to inject more than the recommended frequency, which is every 3 to 4 months, because we don't want to build up resistance. We don't want to build up antibodies to this product. But then as far as fillers, honestly, like I said, I've seen fillers. For example, the under eye area is a very sensitive area. It's an area that can maintain fillers, given the lymphatics and the lack of vascularity in this area. We can see fillers maintained for 10 years after they were placed. So less is more, and that buildup over time is something that we can see, even with dissolvable temporary products. So can you build up a resistance to filler? Not exactly. Like we just explained, they can linger. So really less is more. But
and can premature use of Botox cause more wrinkles and lines down the road?
So, the thing about Botox, the longevity studies show a weakening of the muscle, or what we call muscle atrophy. That is a thing that we do see, over 10, 20, 30 years. In some cases, we want that muscle atrophy. If we have an overactive forehead that's creating a lot of, those muscles are creating a lot of lines. Yes, but if we inject too much in that area, we can create laxity, right? So it's this balance of treating enough to see an improvement and a relaxation of that expression causing the lines, but not over injecting where we lose the tone of the muscle and things start to fall.
Understood. So Mackenzie, now that you have reversed it all, I'm assuming you are not going to be using injectables. What line of care and what beauty routine do you currently have? Also, what do you recommend? And the products, I know you have amazing products in your Westmore Beauty line. What were some of the products that you used at the time when your face wasn't looking the way you wanted it to? And also, what are some of your highlight products right now?
The biggest product for me is the 60-second eye effects, because it really is that Botox in a bottle for 24 hours. I mean, it's temporary and it is topical, and for me, that is my absolute go-to, I always call it Spanx for your face, because
you sent it to me. I use it. I love it.
It really, and I'm glad you love it. It really is. It just kind of holds it all in place. So that is my absolute go-to. All my products really are illusions, and it is great for that no makeup look. So that is definitely my go-to. The body coverage, obviously, I like to add a little dab of that into my foundation for that flawless foundation look. The shadow edit to edit out any imperfections in the skin. so many of my products, but the 60-second eye effects has really become that end all be all for me, especially now because it is that topical Botox, if you will, for me to go to. And then as far as that for makeup to create more of that illusion, other than that, it's going to be really good skincare. It's going to be, in fact, Skin Medica, I know, which is an Allergan product. That is my absolute favorite. Other than that, laser treatments, profractional, broadband, micro needling, microdermabrasion. I'm really going to stick with more of the topical laser and just really good treatment. You know, I was never big on SPF. Well, I sure am now. And I'm going to be very much about the anti-aging and really taking good care of me now. And from here on out, just aging gracefully.
Oh, you are so beautiful. And you said all the right things. And you're every dermatologist's poster child at this point. It's the truth. But I will say to you, Mackenzie, that I used, it was the body coverage this summer in Italy and in Mykonos while I was in full bikini. Like, let me tell you the obsession I had with this body coverage stuff. So you sent it to me and I was like, one day I had this crazy bruise on my leg because I was kickboxing. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put a little bit. And then I was like, oh, maybe I'll put it more than a little bit. Oh, I like the way my skin looks better with this. So here I am smearing everything, thighs, butt. Now it's like changing my skin color. I'm like, uh-oh, what? Now I can't get this thing off, right? And my husband's going, let's go. We got to go to breakfast. And I'm like cleaning up. And now I'm thinking, oh, is this going to stay in the seat? Like, what's going to happen now? Well, sure enough, I get to the restaurant, nice white seat, and I hadn't let it dry. So my first experience was it left a little bit of a stain, but then you know what? It never came off for like 3 days in the ocean, at the pool. After it dried, it stayed. And everyone was like, oh, you've been working out. Like your cellulite's gone. And I was like, my cellulite's gone. Sure it is. It's just covered. It was awesome.
It's funny because I just did a QVC and I put it on one arm and I didn't put it on the other one. And even I was like looking in the camera and I was like, I think I just want to do the entire cell from like this side because it just looks so much better and tighter and leaner. And I was like, I don't want to turn this way right now because this arm's not done. But it's one of those products, again, where it's topical. It just makes you feel good. And that's what Westmore Beauty is all about, is just products that make women and men feel great about themselves, that just make you walk out your door and feel that confidence. Because I know personally, I lost my confidence for so many years and I never want to go through that again. And I don't want anybody else to go through that. So that's really what I want to bring forward through my story and through Westmore Beauty.
Yeah, and you're a great mom. I mean, oh geez, I've seen you and I've seen your family, and you're so blessed and beautiful. And honestly, the industry probably broke you down and you built yourself back up in ways that are your kids, you know, look, your family, you have a legacy to leave behind now. And with the ability for you to be able to take your imperfections and turn them into strengths the way you did, the way you opened up, that's true talent. Forget the rest. The rest is just camera. So thank you for coming on. You're amazing.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Sari, you are awesome, full of knowledge. You know, I love you no matter what. You are my number one bestie out there. There's no one else I would trust with my face but you. There are some amazing plastic surgeons out there that I absolutely think are incredible. And yet you're the one I go to, my darling. So thank you for servicing my face.
You are very welcome. And it's honestly an honor, right? It's such a pleasure, such a joy. Every time I see you, I feel like I have to block out the schedule so I can hang out with you. And it's awesome. And I'm just so honored. And it's been an honor getting to know you, Mackenzie. And once again, thank you for sharing your story. I think more people need to share stories like these.
Thank you. It's so wonderful to meet you. And I really do hope that more women, and like I said, and men do listen to this and take note of this, to really listen to people like Sari and you know, really do their knowledge. You know, don't grab that Groupon. I mean, you wouldn't grab a Groupon for a heart surgeon, so why would you for your face?
Oh,
so that's my biggest message. really don't get that coupon. Don't, just really take your time, do your searching, do your research. Really, I can't implore enough to people out there, take your time. Your face is just as important as the rest of your body, as your health is everything. So this is important. Anything you put in it is important. So I plead to everybody, take your time, do your research.
Take your time, do your research. You heard it right here on 710 WR. Mckenzie Westmore, thank you so much. Guys, that was our BeYouTiful segment brought to us by Animoca Brands. That was the beautiful Mckenzie Westmore and the lovely Sari Katz. Make sure you're checking them out, westmorebeauty.com, and definitely check them out on the gram at Skin by Sari and at Westmore. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.